Good afternoon on this snowy day for many of us. I know for many of our coaches, north of Lansing, we just consider this a normal day, but down south here, we're not quite used to Snowmageddon hitting quite this early. So a few things to keep in mind as we're moving forward. Obviously, here's our important dates, right? Our first kind of competition date's already passed. I know a lot of schools did not compete on that date. Your rules meeting is due here soon. If you plan on being in the postseason, same is true for any of your assistants or volunteers. If they're going to be coaching that side postseason, they got to make sure that rules meeting is done. So we're going to try to really focus on a few things that deal with like alphas, weigh-ins, and in particular the 1 pound. I know that's going to be a piece a lot of people are curious about, right? So how do we know when the first day you can compete at a given weight, right? And when are you given that extra pound for consecutive weigh-ins or snow days? So first off, right, with our alphas, remember you can kind of see those, right? And for individual alphas by clicking on that blue scale to see the weight loss plan. There's some examples kind of here so you can see it from one. The weight loss plan will list by date what weight a wrestler can compete on at that day, right? So it kind of goes by day. A big piece for this, right? Again, just kind of how to find these things. A reminder that hard printed copies of your Alpha Master is highly recommended and best practice to have on there, both for your boys and your girls teams. If you have a digital one that you can share with a coach via phone or something like that, in bad situations, you can do that if you run out of paper copies or something. But it is not acceptable to tell another coach or school it's online. It is your responsibility to have that with you. So again, finding your weight loss plans. Key thing here, you do not need to have printed hard copies of your weight loss plans. Right? So that is not something that you need. So making your certification weight, right? So we all know to get our 2 pound allowance, right, of growth come January 1, we've got to make that weight at least one time. Many schools were kind of in that weird scenario right now that, there's snow days or maybe we haven't been able to practice yet, especially with weigh-ins tomorrow. And if you didn't already wrestle this season, that you may be in a situation where your team's getting that 1 pound allowance. But you only get that 1 pound allowance for weights that you have previously made scratch for. So if you have not wrestled anything yet, you have technically not made any scratch weights yet. So then you would not have that 1 pound allowance. So that's kind of a weird one there. We usually don't get hit with that on the first thing of the year, but here we are, right, kind of dealing with that. So you only get the 1 pound allowance in situations where you have already made a scratch weight once before, okay? If you are at a tournament, if one school gets the 1 pound allowance, every school gets the 1 pound allowance. So if you're a host school and someone tells you they can't practice and the 1 pound allowance is there, it is your responsibility to notify all of the other schools that are coming to compete that they also have that same right, even if they were able to practice. Competitions in a week. I know there may be some rescheduling coming up, so kind of keep in mind you can compete up to 3 times in a given week, but no more than twice can be a day that precedes a school day, i.e. Sunday through Thursday, and you still can't compete more than 10 matches in a 2-day period. Right? I know we can get 6 matches on some of these individual tournaments potentially, and if you backed up 2 individual tournaments somehow and you wrestled 6 on day 1, the max you could wrestle on day 2 would be 4. So be careful of that. 1 pound allowance for consecutive weigh-ins, right? Anytime a team or wrestler from a team has consecutive weigh-ins, you also get that 1 pound allowance. Again, that's for all competitors at the second event or team that is weighing in for that. So at any time you're at an event, if one team is getting that 1 pound allowance, every team at that event gets that 1 pound allowance. The school that has the 1 pound allowance should be contacting the host school, and then the host school should be notifying all other teams at the event. That's kind of my quick update here on these things. If you have any specific questions on those, please reach out to an MWA rep. We'll do our best to answer your questions. I hope everybody is staying warm, safe, and healthy. And fingers crossed, we've got a clean opening weekend of our season.